Melissa. I'm the executive chef at Meso Mediterranean here in San Jose at Santana Row. Today I'm going to be walking you through some steps to make what we do really well here, which is our flatbreads. We do a special flatbread here. It's called hortiki. It's similar to something you would find in Greece. One of the key elements to this flatbread, which is similar to a salad, is a really light, refreshing tzatziki. If I pronounced that correctly, I hope I did. Which is made essentially of yogurt and fresh herbs, cucumber. I'll walk you through the process. First, we begin with the dough. Our dough is made with whole wheat flour. It's rested. That means you've got time for you let the dough rest after you've created it. We do actually here a 24-hour rest period where the glutens can relax. Without that happening, you're going to have a dough that is very stretchy and it's going to come back. Once you shape it, it'll come right back up together again, and you don't want that. You want it to be able to stretch and be flexible when you're forming your flatbread. A couple of ways you can do this. I choose to do it sort of like a hybrid of the old-fashioned way and with a roller style. So I've sort of shaped it already. We're going to get an oblong shape from this one. With my hands, I've shaped it, formed it with some evenness. You don't want it to be thicker on one side and thinner on the other. You want it to have as even as possible. And you'll notice, like every time that I am doing this, I'm not using a lot of flour. I'm using a light amount of flour. And that allows the dough to stay flexible and on the surface of the board and move around, which you're going to need. And you don't want too much, because when you do that, if you have too much flour on your board and it's sticking to the bottom of your dough, it's going to burn in the oven, and it's going to create a black bottom crust. And that's sometimes where you get that bitter taste when you have doughs that you get. If you have pizza and it's ever tasted sort of bitter or black and burn on the bottom, that's from too much flour when they're forming the dough. So now that I've got this nice sort of even oblong shape, and really exaggerating the sides, to the point of it, what we're going for here is an eyeball shape. It's sort of on the edges, corners, a little bit narrower, and in the middle, rounder, like an oblong eyeball. I'm going to create the edge. I'm going to put my finger like this, and I'm just going to wrap the dough over that. And that process is going to continue all the way over. So once that's done, you're going to have a dough. It's going to continue around the dough. And then we're going to end up with this. So you're taking your finger, you're placing it here, you're pressing the dough, and you're pulling it over the edge of your finger like that. It takes a little time, but it's worth it. And then you're going to have a dough, like I said, that's more shaped like an eyeball. Like that. Sort of press the ends. If you're familiar with khachapuri, this is a dough that's very traditional in the khachapuri style. So the first flatbread that I'll be making is this hortiki. But this one is feta. And feta seasoned with Aleppo and different spices. Aleppo is a little bit spicy, or similar to escalate. It has a little bit of a citrus flavor to it, a little like a tone of citrus. Sliced sweet peppers. And these are the Italian sweet peppers. Cherry tomato, sumac onion. Vegetarian, by the way. Kalamata olive. Okay. Spiced lamb starts with tzatziki, which is really refreshing, light yogurt. You'll be familiar with that in a Meso platter. Yogurt and dill, lemon, cucumber. The lamb that we make here is the lamb shoulder. We roast it for 24 hours in an oven at 200 degrees, basically overnight and then some. In a very low temperatured oven. And we start with some tzatziki on the base of the dough, a little dollop there. Evenly as possible. the lamb. Roasted in shawarma spices. Roasted tomato. Sumac onion goes on there as well. And finish with some mozzarella. Not too much. Straight into the oven. Okay. That's going to be in the oven until it's done. It takes anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes, sometimes a little longer depending. That's important. That's another part of the resting process when the dough is resting. That's again where you're letting the gluten rest, and when you're getting holes, it's from stretching the dough in an uneven way and forming holes by just it'll be too thin. So to avoid that, I just at all times make sure that when I'm rolling it out, I'm doing so in a way that keeps it even on all sides. And if I start to feel a weak spot, there's a way to fix that. You can hide it, or you can take a little extra dough and sort of place it over that spot. Reforming the dough will process the gluten more, so you try not to do that again if you can. But if you do get a little spot, I maybe take up a little piece of dough and sheet and put it on there a little. It's a little different. We do whole wheat flour, and a lot of pizza doughs are made from 00 flour, which is a high performance flour with high gluten content. We do a whole wheat, like a hybrid of whole wheat and regular flour, regular all-purpose flour, which gives us the gluten that we want and then the flavor that we want. And I like particularly the whole wheat flavor. It gives it like sort of a nuttiness and just a more earthy flavor to it, which I think is really reminiscent of sort of cuisines in the Mediterranean instead of going with the Italian. Italian's beautiful, by the way, too. I'm going to rotate this one, and we're going to take the veggie out. Ooh, here we go. There's no such thing as a perfect flatbread, in my opinion. They're all perfect. A little bit of uneven baking shows that it's the real product. So we'll finish this flatbread with some fresh chopped oregano. Aleppo again. Olive oil. Fresh pea shoots. If you have lemon juice handy, it's always good to add a little lemon juice, I always say. Maybe a little more Aleppo. A little salt sometimes. Put that right on top. That one is finished. On the last flatbread, or the best one I like to say because it's my favorite, we're going to do the crispy mushroom, which starts with ricotta cheese, which we make in-house here, which is by very slowly simmering cream, whole milk, lemon juice, a little bit of salt. It's a very natural process. It's just a real time consumer, so I recommend making it if at all possible at home. Be patient with it. It takes time. The best way to do it, honestly, is to, if you can, slowly develop the cheese, and you're going to be separating the whey and the curds to make the cheese, but extremely low temperature at you don't want to scald the bottom of the pot or have any brown form at the bottom of the pan with the milk proteins. So slow temperature it takes me about 6 hours when I make this one, and after that I will gently remove it from the pan, and you'll see the liquids will separate and the curds will form the ricotta cheese, which is what we'll end up using. The liquids, you can use them for making something else, but we just started them here. Ours here is a little chunky. When I do this and I use ricotta on a salad, I'll whip it, add a little cream, and I'll whip it with some lemon and lemon juice, a little salt and pepper. But for here, with this process, it'll just be plain. Okay, so we'll add next on the ricotta. I like to add a little mozzarella to the bottom so I can control the amount. You don't want too much. The mushroom. We have oyster mushrooms, which we roast slowly, salt and pepper. And the cheese. When this dish is finished, we'll finish it with some arugula, fresh arugula, and saba. Saba is made from grape leaves. It's a sweet, almost balsamic flavored reduction. It's like a very heavily reduced wine, and it's really delicious. Turn it again. I'll take a look at my lamb. You can see it's getting a nice crust on it that's forming. So I'll rotate that a little bit so we have even browning on all sides. The back of the oven is a lot hotter, so depending on where and how and what ingredients I'm using, I may at times take the pizza and bring it to a little bit more forward, which will cool it in the cooler area of the oven. When it comes out, nice and bubbly, we'll add Aleppo. This is a spiced lamb, so Aleppo does have a little bit of that spice. A little bit of Vitar. Olive oil will go on there. There you are. Okay. That's the spiced lamb. Last is the mushrooms. I like to wait until I know that when the cheese has a little bit of bubble to it, that's beautiful. That's when you know that that it's done, I said. I like a little bit of crust on the cheese. I don't think it has all those flavors that don't resonate unless you add a little bit of time and temperature. And so when it starts to bubble and you get a little bit of brown spots, that you know that the cheese has been prepared correctly, and it tastes just a lot more. There's a lot more flavor involved. So to finish this dish, again, Aleppo. We've got a fresh arugula. Nice peppery contrast. Fresh organic arugula, great contrast. And saba that we use on ours. Drizzle of saba, and that's the saba's made from the same process you would start wine, and it's just processed a little longer and cooked longer, but it is made from grape leaves. Olive oil to finish, and that's that. I don't use a pizza wheel when I cut. I use my knife. Three cuts. Again, I like to have some fresh greens. Makes it taste just that much better for the contrast. We're going to be featuring khachapuri in the future, which will be the same dough, the same format of the dough. Khachapuri is beautiful. It has its roots in Russia, from what I understand. Khachapuri is a blend of really great cheeses. You have to have the perfect blend. And your dough, which is formed with spelt flour, traditionally. The same format and shape, and at the very end you add a fresh duck egg or a fresh organic farmed egg right at the top, and then when you bring it to the table you sort of stir those cheeses and the egg together. It's just very delicious. We'll be featuring that next month here. What I have featured here is the crispy mushroom flatbread, and it has oyster mushrooms, which we roast slowly, a little mozzarella on there, fresh ricotta, which we make in-house, and it's finished with saba and arugula. We feature these flatbreads every day on our menu, and you can come in anytime and have them because it's on there all day. Look forward to seeing you at Meso in Santana Row.
Perfect.